No, last month he's sleeping in his car. Police officers say he smells of alcohol. He gets charged with DUI. Don't know what's going to happen there. But now we had TMZ's Mike Babcock on last week. Why? Well, 6 months prior, he crashes his Lamborghini, leaves the scene of the accident. And by the way, he crashed it up pretty good. It's amazing nobody was seriously hurt. His fall guy was his friend who was there and claimed he was driving the car, which was a lie. Then Marshawn Lynch shows up 3 days later, and he's asked, why did you leave the scene of the crash? And he claimed it in the middle of the night. People were taking his picture on the side of a road, which, by the way, was also a lie. Because if that was true, some of these videos and pictures would have popped up. It would have been sold to TMZ. Marshawn Lynch is a liar. And I believe he was probably on something, and he was probably drunk on this side road where he crashes his Lamborghini. What are your thoughts on this story? Because Marshawn's attorneys, of course, celebrity attorneys, are basically saying that this is a non-story. That's what they said. They said Marshawn addressed this matter many months ago, and he was found responsible for a parking violation, which is true, actually. But we don't know if he was on anything, and leaving the scene of an accident is a serious thing. What do you make of this?
Well, everything always gets knocked down to a parking violation here in Vegas. I mean, the Review Journal has done a lot of work on that, and I've been personally involved, and I've seen it for years. The whole thing about the prior crash, the only factor it plays in this current case is the prosecutor is going to know that, like you said, most likely he crashed his car. He probably was DUI. We can never prove it. But you just know that in the back of your head when you're deciding whether you're going to try to get the DUI conviction on him here, or you're going to cut him a break. And like I said, the case itself right here is kind of weak for the prosecution. Marshawn's case is a weak case for the prosecution here for all those reasons we've talked about. But this old one will be inadmissible. It's inadmissible at Marshawn Lynch's trial. It can never come in. I mean, you can barely prove what happened that night other than just go, well, common sense says that he must have been DUI. That's why he left the scene. But you can never bring that in at trial.
How is it that he gets a slap on the wrist? Isn't leaving the scene of a crash very serious?
How about this? Even if he was DUI, convicted of DUI 6 months ago, you would not be able to bring that in at his current DUI.
Which, by the way, I understand that's the law. It doesn't mean I'm going to agree with it. I find that completely ridiculous. And I also find if you leave the scene of a crash, we should assume that you were drunk. We should assume that you were on drugs. And I know the law doesn't work that way, but why didn't he get charged with a more serious crime? He crashes his Lamborghini, leaves the scene, doesn't call police that night. That's another thing, by the way. He's a liar. There weren't people taking video and pictures of him. That's a lie. And he waits 3 days to go to the traffic department and own up to it. Why didn't he call police an hour later? Why didn't he call police when his boys picked him up? Why didn't he say, hey, people were taking pictures of me. I crashed my car. Because he was drunk. That's why. Just like he was drunk last month. He's going to kill somebody. Definitely
indicates that there's more going on with Marshawn Lynch than what we initially suspected.
I
don't know what's going on in his life. He's not adjusting to life very well, but I have a concern just as a citizen that you got a guy who's DUI a lot out there.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, man. Why? This is the thing that really bothers me. Even let's assume he wasn't drunk, which I believe he was 6 months ago. And I believe he was drunk last month as well. Why? Why didn't they charge him with a more serious crime? I thought if you leave the scene of an accident, it's a very serious crime and you can be charged.
No, if no one's hurt, if someone's hurt or killed or even just hurt a little bit and you leave the scene, you're going, Nevada law says it's mandatory prison, 2 to 20 years. So you'll be doing at least 2 years in prison if convicted on that, because that does assume that you were drunk and you were leaving the scene. That's why they did it. With the misdemeanor, hit and run with just property damage is a misdemeanor. It can be punished by $1,000 or 6 months in jail maximum. You never see that. DUI's got the same penalty. 6 months in jail, $1,000 fine. You don't see the jail time most of the time. So it's really the same penalty. These are misdemeanor offenses.
Do we have somebody named Marshawn on the line, Numchuck? Is that who we have on the line? Marshawn, is this true? Do you agree that you left the scene of the crash because people were taking your picture? Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, okay. I appreciate your honesty there.
Oh, you got him to admit that because he's sticking to his story about the pictures.
Sticking to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He is. But he did get fined, didn't he?
Did you have anything to do with that night?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad we were able to clear that up. Breaking news. I'll send that to TMZ.
So you called your friend in to take responsibility for a crime he didn't commit?
I'm here so I won't get fined.
That's actually true. He's being honest.
You're not even going to answer that one, huh? Okay.
That's true. He didn't want to get fined. By the way, big fine for Marshawn. I think he got fined like $750 or something for the whole thing. Yeah, thank you. And
750.
Yeah,
for the parking violation.
I believe so. I think so. I could be wrong on that. I think he can afford that. Boy, how many vehicles is this guy just obliviated, man? It's unbelievable. I mean, 6 months ago, a Lamborghini, pretty nice car last month that he just completely totaled.
I'll tell you, man, if I was driving a Lamborghini, I'd be so careful in that thing. This guy's just spinning out.
I mean, he's going to kill somebody, man. And I don't care how much charity work he's done. And I don't care what football player he was, great or not. I don't care. He could have been a third-rate punter for all I care. Fact of the matter is that it's just a matter of time before he's going to kill somebody. And the problem I have with the laws, and you know, if you have money, you get these celebrity attorneys and they get you off. You know, I said the same thing about Josh Jacobs. I mean, clearly the guy was probably drunk. Didn't get a DUI, though, even though the officer who arrested him said he smelled of alcohol and he totaled his car.
The testing came back under the limit.
Yeah. I mean, when was
this? And this is what we talked about before. Do you think that Josh Jacobs or Marshawn Lynch should be treated harsher than anybody else in that situation? And I'm telling you, in a misdemeanor DUI, given the proof issues in Marshawn's case, if it wasn't Marshawn Lynch and it wasn't in the media, he's getting cut a break to a reckless driving on this. There's too many issues in the case. So if they move forward with it, it is specifically because of who he is.
Now, obviously, it's not fair if you treat somebody differently under the law. I understand that. With that being said, when you are a role model to a lot of people and it comes with the territory of being a celebrity or somebody with a lot of money, a prominent person, a lot of people look up to you. And when you see somebody like that get a slap on the wrist, the problem I have is that a lot of other people out there are going to think, oh, I can do the same thing and nothing's going to happen to me. And that's when people die. Does that mean that you should be treated differently under the law? But I'll tell you, people are treated differently under the law when they have money.
Well, that's one aspect of sentencing. There's a public deterrence perspective. So yeah, with a celebrity who's in the news, maybe you do go a little harder on him under that sentencing theory so that people out there see it. They see in the news, they go, wow, Marshawn Lynch got a DUI conviction. They actually put him in jail for 6 months. I better not do DUI.
Well, I'm going to listen, you're going to probably disagree with me. And I know this is what you do for a living, but this is my personal opinion. I'm going to assume that Marshawn Lynch was drunk both occasions. I'm going to assume, and I think it's a very fair assumption, I know his attorneys would disagree with me, that he has a drinking problem. With all this being said, he's very lucky that nobody was hurt.
Let's make the further assumption. These two incidents are not the only time that he's been driving around under the influence.
Very fair to say that, and you're absolutely right, and I agree with you. He's probably been driving a vehicle drunk for a while now. He was caught a couple times in Las Vegas, only because he crashed his vehicle both times.
Right.
My personal opinion, he should not be allowed to drive a car for a year. You don't want to give him jail time? Fine. He cannot drive a car for a year. Put him on probation. And for the next year, while he's getting rides everywhere, which clearly he can afford, he's got tons of money, tens of millions of dollars. Let him think about that for the next year. Forget about jail time. Just take his license away for a year. Now, I know that's not going to happen because I call it the injustice system, and he's got money, and we can talk about these cases and the evidence. I understand all that, what you're saying.
No, he's going to come back over the limit, most likely, and there's no rule against it. The DMV is going to suspend his license.
How long do you think, though? A couple months?
No, it will be at least 6 months.
Glad Marshawn agrees.
It'll be at least 6 months, and he'd have to get a breath interlock device on his car to be
I
able
want
to drive.
That needs to happen.
So there's going to be a license suspension.
That needs to happen.
Shouldn't that be on every car? Just honestly.
I think it would save a lot of lives, but here's the problem with that. You have somebody else in the car with you that's not drunk. They can breathe on it, and then, then the driver can start the car and drive the car, right? That's
allegedly that could happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, not allegedly.
Prosecutors argued that sometimes.
It definitely happens. You know? I'm all for making.
It's supposed to take a picture. Honestly, the breath interlock takes a picture of you as you're blowing into it. It's recorded. Yeah. So if somebody else is doing that, it's not really hard. And if you're not, if you don't have any face in the picture, that's a violation too. And so we have violated people. It's like, how come your face isn't in the picture?
One more question for Marshawn before we let him go. Marshawn, is it true that you are just a complete drunken buffoon who should not be on the roads in Las Vegas? Is that true?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. I just wanted to clear that up. That's all. All right. We can move on now.
Not guilty.
Fair enough.
Beast mode not guilty in this one. I'm sorry. I know people are mad about that.
Because people were taking your picture in the middle of the night on a side road amongst trees. Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened. You freaking liar. What a liar this guy is. I don't care the charity work.
Old Sicilian proverb. The prisons are full of honest men.
Interesting. People were taking video and pictures of you, but none of it is surfaced online.
Running from the scene of a crime is only a bad idea when you get caught.
Yeah. Take that guy's cell phone, FBI. Take his cell phone and let's see his boys that he called up or texted. Hey, pick me up. I'm in a jam. Yeah. I'm sure you weren't drunk, Marshawn. To his celebrity attorneys, you're doing an injustice. And what happens? What happens if Marshawn Lynch is back on the road again one day? And I don't want this to happen, but, he kills a member of somebody's family. Maybe David, and I don't want this to happen, God forbid. But if it's a member of David Chesnoff's family or Richard Schunfeld's family, you got him off. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. I understand. And you're one of these people where it's your job to defend your client to the best of your ability.
Let me ask you this. Do you think him getting convicted of DUI or him getting convicted of reckless driving is going to make a difference in his life, that he is now going to make the right choice every time?
You know what? It's a good question, and I will answer that when we come back because we have to take a break. I think that's a good question. Also, taking your phone calls at 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 221-7283. He's Thomas Moskal. I'm Brian Shapiro. We'll take a quick break. I will answer that question, which is a good one when we come back. You're listening to Pushing Limits right here on KSHP.